Welcome back to Telos, the Purpose Podcast. Today's episode I'm joined by Georgia, a lady with a very powerful story about how she's built her life back from the ground up and pulled herself through some unimaginable circumstances. Shortly after the COVID vaccine and her second dose in 2021, she faced a health decline that no one around her could explain. She lost mobility, fought daily neurological problems, and tried so hard to understand what was happening to her body whilst worrying that she'd never be able to walk again. All this happened and more continued to happen again within the short space of 3 years. And she's struggled and built her mindset to pull her through all of it. The story isn't about illness or loss in general, but it's about how a positive mind can pull you through anything. And if that sounds interesting to you, stick around and I hope you enjoy, and please leave some feedback. I think it's really important that people hear
it was
this
a long time ago.
because you're not the only person. I've heard other stuff.
Yeah, there's a
And-
whole community of us, and it's funny because when I was in hospital, I was literally like, it was when I was in hospital that I'd opened up my Instagram account. I had a private Instagram account, and I opened up my Instagram account and started basically kind of sharing what was going on. So then when I opened up my Instagram account, I was diving into every rabbit hole you can imagine. There was a girl in America called Maddie Johnson. Maddie was having this treatment with a guy called, I can't remember his name. I think it was Dr. Mark Galili. And I looked at all of the costs of going over there to LA to have this treatment that she was having amazing success with, which was red light therapy. It was IV infusions. She had identical symptoms to me, but it was going to be like a £30,000 trip. So at the time, we said, well, let's just do a GoFundMe. Like, let's see what we can raise and try and get there to get this treatment. But the hospital had also written in my notes that I was fixated on social media, which wasn't the case at all. It was a case of trying to figure out what on earth was wrong with me, because no one was coming up with any solutions or ideas. Every test I was having in the hospital was coming back like normal. So there was no like concrete evidence that would medically suggest that it was the vaccine. However,
did it just coincide? It was just you had this, and then 4 hours later, you've had a life-changing effect on your body.
Yeah.
You have to put two and two together somehow.
Yeah, of course. And I had my first vaccine in the May, and on the 29th of June, 2021, I had my second vaccine. I went to Hemel. They make you fill out a consent form and paperwork before they even give you any information on the vaccine. And I remember all of that. And within 4 hours, I was just constantly fainting, like constant. I could be sat here and I'd be passing out. And then I remember the following day, I was in the kitchen and I was hoovering. My mum was talking to me, and the next thing I'd passed out and I was on the floor. And my mum said, right, this isn't right. There's something going on. She called the GP, and the GP said, oh yeah, it's probably just, a response to the vaccine. Like, just rest for a couple of days, you'll be fine. And I then was getting progressively worse. And it was then when all the neuro symptoms then kicked in. I remember I was covering and working on a wedding, and my partner at the time, he and I drove down to Devon in two separate cars. Dorset. We were in Dorset. We were in the Jurassic, on the Jurassic coast. And we drove down in two separate cars, and I needed to pick up batteries. So we stopped. We went into a Tesco's that was en route on the way down, went in, totally fine, picked up some batteries. And I remember standing at the counter, and I remember the guy looked at me and he said, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And I went to then pick up my phone to pay for these batteries, and I couldn't connect my brain to my hand like this, There was nothing. There was no ability for me to pick up my phone. And he then looked at me and he said, "Can I get you a chair?" And I went, "No." I said, "But can you call my boyfriend? I can literally see him. He's out there in the car. I can see the car." So I've had to give this guy like my passcode. He's had to call my boyfriend, and he's had to come in and get me, pay for the batteries.
And your body's just shutting down.
My body was just, it was like computer says no. And then, but even before then, I remember I had to go, like it was quite an important wedding. It was a big wedding, but low key, as in like there was a huge expense for this wedding. I can't go into details on it, but it was a big wedding, and I had to go into. I think I needed a tequila, a certain tequila, and the only place I could find it was in Harrods, that was kind of locally to where these people lived, to pack the cars, and we took like 4 cars down to the Jurassic Coast. And I remember going in there and I thought, I'm going to pass out. I'm walking in Harrods and I'm going to pass out. Any minute I'm going to pass out. And again, guy walked towards me. He went, "Madam, can I get you a seat or can I get you a chair?" I was like, no, I'm fine. And I then perched on, like, there must have been like an old kind of chest or box or like cellar box, wine box in Harrods. And I kind of perched myself on there. He went, "Can I take you into this room?" And he took me into what was essentially like a private room where they obviously do like wine tasting and stuff like that. And I just felt I was so relieved. I was so relieved. And then when I was down there, and this will probably make me feel a bit emotional because I kind of then relive it all. We'd been to watch the Euros final at the pub. England v Italy. Italy won. We then went back to the castle where we were all staying. And the groom, I was very conscious that I was working. I wasn't a guest. I was working. The groom was like, "Come on, Georgia, like come down to the table." Like everyone was eating. The whole wedding party was like 7 people, including the bride and groom. Come down. And I was like, no, it's fine. I've got like a lot to do. Like I needed to print itineraries and stuff like that, make sure timings were all right for the wedding the following day. The bride knew what time she was having hair and makeup, blah, 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 blah. And sat at dinner and I didn't feel too good. So I said, I'm going to go up to bed. I've got an early morning tomorrow. Went up to bed, and my boyfriend at the time stayed downstairs with everybody, like eating and drinking and whatever. And I went up to bed, passed out. He found me upstairs, passed out, put me into bed, and I got into bed and I literally had from top to toe this, like my body was uncontrollably shaking.
Like a seizure?
It was like a seizure, but I was fully aware of what was going on, and
So
I
you were
was
very
fully conscious
conscious.
of, yeah, completely. And he'd recently done a first aid training course, so he's going, "Are you with me? Are you with me?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "But I've just got no control over my body." Woke up the next day, kicked off with the wedding, and it was almost like as if nothing had happened. Did the wedding, and
What was your boyfriend thinking at this point?
I knew deep down there was something wrong.
Seriously wrong.
Yeah. And it was later on the Monday that I then passed out again. And I was sat in a chair and I literally passed out in this chair. Had obviously fallen off the chair. It was like a leather chair, so I'd slid off the chair, hit my head on a stone floor.
Were the people around you?
Yeah, so the wedding planners were there. I was there working purely on behalf of the bride and groom as like a personal assistant, essentially. They were doing the next part of the wedding. I'd passed out, and my boyfriend said, "Why?" After I'd come around, he's like, "Let me take you down to the pub. Let's go and get you some food. You haven't really eaten much. You've been running around. Let's go and get you some food." So I was like, "Okay." So we go down to this pub, and we were eating, and then we finished eating, and I was like, "Let's walk down to the beach." So we get up, and as we've got up from the table, I've literally stood up, and my legs have just gone from underneath me. I don't know if you remember, you're probably too young to remember, but there used to be these toys and you'd push the bottom of them.
Yeah.
And they'd all like,
Yeah. They
that's
were
what,
made out of wood or
yeah. That's what my legs were like.
And you could still feel them.
Yeah.
But
Had complete,
you just
Had
had no
complete feeling,
yeah.
just no control. And he basically caught me and I went, what the fuck? Like, can I swear?
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, and I'm such a determined person. I was like, we're going to the beach. Like, we're not going to the beach. And as we were walking down to the beach, like, I'm a massive animal lover, like dogs, horses. This border terrier was like running towards me. And I just remember that border terrier being my like life savior, because I just collapsed and fell to my knees. And it was just an excuse to essentially not carry on walking, because my legs just weren't going to take me.
You think the dog knew something was up because it ran over to you?
I have no idea. I'm a bit of an animal whisperer anyway. Dogs actually love me. And I just remember this dog. It was a border terrier. And I just remember it. I just fell to my knees just to stroke and interact with the dog. We got back in the car, back up to the venue, and my legs then just kept giving way underneath me.
More frequently than usual?
Yeah, completely.
Sorry, when is this? What year, what time?
This was July 21.
21.
So I'd had the second vaccine on the 29th of June.
So this is not long after the wedding and the...
This was all during the wedding.
Oh,
this was all going on during the wedding. And I've even got a card from the bride at home that says like how much they loved me, how much I value, like how much of a benefit I was at the wedding, even if it nearly killed me. And the mad thing is on the Tuesday, we were driving home, again in two separate cars. I was driving two separate cars. We had to drop some stuff off at the bride and groom's house and then go from there back home. And we got back to where we live. And I stopped at the petrol station to refill the car. And I got out of the car, filled the petrol station, got out the car at the petrol station, filled the car up, walked into the petrol station, which is only just down the road from here. And I don't think my card wasn't going through. I can't remember what, like Apple Pay wasn't working. And I just looked at the girl behind the counter and I said, I'm really sorry. I said, I can't walk back out there and walk back in again and walk back to my car. I said, please, could you go and get my purse from the car? I just, like, I haven't got it in me.
What was her reaction to you saying that?
I think she was a bit like taken aback, because you look at me and I don't look like there's anything wrong with me. So she went and got my purse, came back, I paid for the fuel, went back to the car. And I then remember pulling up on my driveway, and my mum at the time was on the drive with the dogs talking to a neighbour. And I got out the car and I said to my mum, I said, please don't be alarmed at how I'm walking. Because I was holding onto the car to walk. I was basically now like furniture surfing. And I've got the video on my phone of how I was when I got back to the house.
Was that from like a Ring doorbell or
No, that my boyfriend filmed.
Oh, okay.
And I'm such a glass half full person. Like, I'm always positive about stuff. And when I kind of tell you more about what happened subsequently after all of that, I sometimes wonder how I put one foot in front of the other each day, but I do. And I then, I don't know why, because it's so unlike me, decided to do an Instagram live to my 600 followers that I had on Instagram. That was a private account.
Just to show what's going on.
Yeah, I then started talking and saying, look, like, this has all happened to me since I've been vaccinated. And then went to bed that night, woke up probably about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the toilet. And as I got up to go to the toilet, I literally just fell flat on the floor. We had a Peloton in the bedroom as well. And I could have really hurt myself. I literally just fell flat on the floor. My ex got out of bed, picked me up, and I just held on to him. And I said, I think I need to go to hospital. So he took me, carried me in, and I'm still then having all these like tremors and would you call them seizures? I don't know if you would call them seizures because I was perfectly like awake and sorry, I was perfectly awake and kind of conscious, and I don't know if that happens with seizures. And they were really good, to be fair. Like, they saw me immediately, and I then subsequently spent 2 weeks in hospital. I had lumbar punctures, I had CT scans, I had MRIs. I never had nerve conduction tests, which I think I should have had.
Did you ask for them?
No, but I remember really having to fight. I remember a doctor, I think I'd been in for like a week, and it was super hot. Like, I didn't want to be in a stuffy hospital with people, like old people around me dying or whatever. And this doctor came up to me. She went, "We're going to get you all geared up, ready for discharge." I went, "That's amazing." I said, "But I can't walk from here to that toilet," which was literally, this was my bed here. The toilet was where the lamp is. And I said, "I can't walk from here to there on my own without assistance or with some kind of aid." And then I went, "So forgive me," I said, "because I'm not really up on all this stuff." I said, "But if I go home and I fall over and I have an accident and I end up back here," I said, "isn't that medical negligence?"
And their reply was?
And she went, we'll get a neurologist to come and see you."
And you spent 2 weeks in hospital, and
Yeah.
then they decided to discharge you.
Yeah. And I said, "Right, okay." I said, let me make something really, really clear to you." I said, "Whilst these are not working," I said, "this is working." I said, "And I'm not going anywhere until A, you figure out what's wrong with me, B, you come up with a plan to get me walking again, or C, you get me walking again. Because I can't currently walk." Not only that, every tremor that I'm having whilst I've been in this hospital, no one's keeping an eye on how long they last. No one's making a note of how often they're happening. I said, "I'm doing all of that. Isn't that your job?" And they almost kind of like backed down a bit. And I found that a lot of the people that were going through what I was also going through and experiencing, they were just being fobbed off. And they were basically saying, like, it was in your head, you need to like leave the hospital, and they were just being discharged and discharged and discharged. Whereas I wasn't prepared to take any shit. Like, I'd found numerous people that were all in a similar situation to me. And I had one doctor say to me that I discredited how unwell I was because I'm laughing and smiling in my videos. So whilst I was going through this, essentially I should have mentally been absolutely battered and not been laughing or smiling or trying to see some kind of light or humour in the situation that I was in.
When all you've got is your own thoughts and your own way of thinking about things, that's your only way through something like this.
My boyfriend, who I'd been with at the time for 5 years, 6 years, we'd been together at that point. We lived together. I remember saying to him, "Just leave me. Like, I don't know if I'm ever going to walk again. Like, just leave me."
Did that go through your head a lot?
Oh my God, constantly. Then I became like sensitive to noise. I work in the music industry and I work in the sports world. I was like, how am I ever going to be in an environment again, like with live music? Because every time I'm in live music, I'm triggered, and I'll either go into a full spasm, or my face collapses and my head goes into like this massive tremor, which still happens now. Like, so much goes through your head. You know, you're being wheeled through a hospital in a wheelchair.
Sounds madness to me that a doctor is kind of not listening to what you're saying.
They wouldn't they wouldn't listen at all.
They're saying that you are okay because you're smiling and laughing.
Yeah.
How can you be okay if you've just lost use of your legs?
And I was then told by the neurologist, he told me that I'd had a direct immune response to the vaccine. Because of it being COVID and stuff like that, there was only certain like visiting periods in the hospital. And my mum was on like FaceTime. My boyfriend really struggled like to even come to the hospital. He hates hospitals anyway. And he just needed a distraction, so he was just working his way through it all. And he'd come and he wouldn't spend much time there. And the neurologist said, we want to send you to a neuro rehabilitation unit. But if you've got money to throw around or you've got private medical insurance, use that. And I just went, just get me out of here. Like, just get me out. And I then had all of my treatment through, it was all paid for through a GoFundMe, and it was all paid for through my insurance. But my insurance had a cap, right? Like, it wasn't unlimited. And in the end, we probably spent about £20,000 total. We probably spent about £20,000 in total on, probably more, on getting me to a position where I'm at now. And even now, like, my face still collapses, so it's like a Bell's palsy. I'm still waiting to be seen again under neurology, so I'm still under neurology for everything.
So in your story so far, you had the first vaccination, and you had the second vaccination, and then not long after that, you lost the control of parts of your limbs, like your legs and your hands at one point.
Yeah, completely.
And we've got up to middle of 2021, summer 2021.
Yeah.
Is that the bottom of the trough of your, would you say, the fall of all these bad things happening to you? Is that the rock bottom?
No, I wish it was. It kind of made all of that a little bit like a walk in the park. My boyfriend at the time brought COVID home from the gym. I got it, and it just exacerbated all my symptoms again. So that was like November 21. So I couldn't walk. I was having my tremors. I was having like, my arms were it was just, I've got videos of all of this. And then my mum got COVID. So my mum and I remember we went off and went and got tested. My mum ended up in HDU on CPAP ventilation with COVID. She wasn't vaccinated. She like, none of us really wanted to get vaccinated. I only wanted to do it so I could go and travel, which most of people probably our age did, unless they worked in the NHS or they worked in a medical profession. And then 10 days before my birthday in February 22, my mum had a stroke. And that just battered her mentally, completely battered her mentally. And then she ended up under the mental health crisis team. Because she said she felt suicidal, and if she was going to take her life, she would do it with a morphine overdose. And then in the June, the mental health crisis team discharged her for being unresponsive and not kind of cooperating with the help that was there for her. So they discharged her. Now, anyone that knows anything about mental health knows that if you're depressed, you generally tend to withdraw. You don't want to talk to people. You just want to stay in your bubble because you feel safer in your bubble. And within a month of her being discharged back to her GP, who never followed up, she was dead from a morphine overdose that she said she was going to do. So I lost my mum to suicide in July 22. And her anniversary is the day before my dad's anniversary. So I lost my dad when I was 3, which I've grown up with. Like, I'm all good with that. I'm not all good with that. You know, it's grief. You deal with it every day. Yeah, so I lost my mum to suicide. And then almost exactly a year later, my partner decided he couldn't cope and he had anxiety and
So 2021 was the worst for you, well, some of the
my
worst for your
injury.
symptoms of your
Yeah.
injury. 2022, you unfortunately lost your mum. And then 2023, your partner left you. At what point did you feel like you started to recover from all of this?
Um, my partner leaving me probably quite quickly. Um, my mum I'll never get over.
Do you suffer with any guilt and regrets because of this?
Yeah. Yeah. I also have a huge amount of anger. Um,
Directed towards the people who should have been looking after her.
yeah, but also her.
Mm.
Also her. You know, the help was there for her. Um, but she chose not to take it. She chose not to use it to its full potential.
Mm.
And I'm angry at the mental health crisis team because, you know, they've discharged somebody who's unresponsive. Like, depression leaves you unresponsive, and that's whether that's to your friends, whether that's to medical staff, whether that's to family. Depression leaves you unresponsive. Do I believe she could have been helped? Yeah, I think so. And I think some of the guilt I carry is the situation that we were kind of living in wasn't ideal by any means. You know, we were three adults living in a home during lockdown, after lockdown. Um, but I think the main emotion I have is anger. And again, I say it with a smile on my face because I'm always, I'm such a positive person. Um, I have to look at the silver linings. I have to look at the blessings, and the blessings are she's with my dad now, and she's probably the happiest she's ever been wherever she is. Do I need her every day? Absolutely. Um, absolutely. And I think kind of not having two parents around is really difficult. Um, I'm grateful that I have to celebrate both of their anniversaries in 1 month because it means it's then not spread out across the year. So I escape every year on their anniversaries. The day before my mum's anniversary, I escape. And I don't come back until either my dad's or the day after.
What stands out the most is your mindset. Your mindset, by sounds of things, and by meeting you right now over the past 5 years, sounds like this is one of the worst five. Well, within the space of 3 years, you're not even just stability in your legs, but the stability in the structures around you, in your parents. Well, you lost your
Completely, yeah.
just father when you was young, but in your mum, and then the sequential year, you lost your partner. Not
He didn't die, he just walked
no,
out.
he walked out. What
I wouldn't wish him dead though either, by the way, just to clarify that.
explain to me about your mindset. You said you're a glass half full kind of person. What is that mindset?
I have a really dark sense of humor.
Mm.
I see the funny side in a lot of things. Um, I remember like when I eventually started clearing the house and clearing rooms because I've changed a lot. I'm still in the same house, so you know, for some people that would be really difficult to still be in the same house that their mum took her life in. And I'm grateful for the way my mum did take her life. She didn't hang herself. She didn't do anything dramatic. She took an overdose and I found her asleep, you know?
Mm.
So in that respect, I don't have that kind of harrowing vision of an accident, of, you know, anything like that. And for that, I'm grateful in a weird way. You know, I can sit in her room and I replay everything, and I remember, yeah, when I was clearing out, that's what I was going to say to you. When I was clearing out the house and I was clearing out the office, and I remember clearing out like a ton of paperwork that we just didn't need anymore. I didn't need it, didn't mean anything to me. I remember putting it all in the fire and I went, fuck. I was like, if you knew you were going to take your life, could you have not got rid of all this shit beforehand so I don't have to?
That's seeing the humour in it.
Yeah, you know. And don't get me wrong, like I'm not positive 100% of the time. It's really difficult to be when you kind of been battered the amount I've been battered. And I've just had something recently, which I know you're aware of, that's happened, which I'm probably not quite ready to talk about, but it was something I really needed my mum around for, and she wasn't. So I then get angry at her for that because she's now missing out on so many things that are going to be significant to me and would be significant to her too, and stuff that I would really need and want her around for. And also, not only that, so I lost my mum in 22, and then in October 23, 15 months later, obviously my partner had left me almost exactly a year later. In the August 22, he left me. August 23, he left me. And then in October 23, I lost my nana. So my mum's mum died 15 months after my mum. Yeah, do you know what, my mindset?
I think you are spot on. I think people who are seen as positive people feel the pressure of being positive all the time. But you know,
well, you're strong. You're such a strong person.
And there are people who are envious of it, right? There are people who will say, "Oh, I'm glad you're happy." But I think that there's a very important understanding to be learnt here with a positive mindset. And I think that a positive mindset is something that differentiates pain and suffering. I think there are some things in life that are inevitable, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna, unfortunately for you, it's happened all within a bad space of time, but like dominoes. But you know, you're going to lose a family member who you love at some point in life. You know, these things are inevitable, and that the pain you're going to feel from that is going to happen. You know, if you really love this person, you are going to feel pain from that.
Yeah.
But I think the positive mindset is what stops you falling into the trap of suffering, and you know, the overthinking and the, you know, letting it play in your head again and again.
I still overthink. I still overplay things, but I think that's also, and I've had therapy. Like I remember my mum dying, and one of the first things I did was like, I need to make sure my mental health is okay. Like, how do I deal with all of this? Because I didn't necessarily feel fully emotionally supported in any kind of aspect. And that was one of the first things I did was seek my own help. But I take my mum as an example, and other people that may relate to this from a suicide perspective. Suicide is a completely different grief to any other grief. You know, that person has chosen to end their life. And I fully believe, and I had this conversation at the weekend, somebody wants to go into counselling and they want to help people that might feel suicidal. Now, I think if you've never been in that position of maybe feeling suicidal, not wanting to be here, you have to 100% want to get out of that position yourself. You want to have to really try and retrain your brain, refocus, and believe that there's reason for you to stay on this planet. If somebody is adamant about taking their life, or they've had those thoughts, it's really difficult to stop that person.
You think they spiral down and down and down?
Yeah, and unless they're willing to put in some kind of effort or work, like my mum had a whole team ready to help her, and she shut down from that team. Could that team have done more? Absolutely. Could they have told me they discharged her as her primary carer? Absolutely. Did they? No. And when I investigated it, because for me that was a failing, like that my mum failed herself and they failed her. My mum failed herself because she didn't take the help that was there, which to me means she didn't want it badly enough. she didn't want to pull out of this mindset enough to
Couldn't find meaning to do
yeah.
it.
And she'd said for years I was always her safety net. And when someone says you're their safety net, when did I stop being that safety net? But then how many times prior to that did I save her, you know, as her safety net?
I suppose that's a positive mindset way to think about it as well. You sound like you have, you know, you like to say you're grateful for this and you're grateful for this. And it sounds like you practice gratitude quite a lot. Gratitude seems like it's a...
Maybe not consciously, but
it sounds like it's a contrary to all the negative emotion that you can feel. I suppose it's hard to be grateful, but also feel the exact same opposite emotion at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think gratitude does a lot for you?
I think I have to make I make a conscious effort. I make a conscious effort, and this isn't every morning by any means. You know, I pull onto my driveway at home and I go, wow, I'm blessed, but I'm blessed because my parents have allowed me to have the property that I live in.
So it's not like a strategic, I'm grateful for this, this, and this. It's just whenever you get them, catch the moment of something that you've got.
Yeah, I think it's catching the moment, you know, like right now isn't an easy time in my life, particularly kind of financially. And money makes the world go round. We need money to pay our bills. We need money to pay our mortgage. And I think I battle sometimes on a daily basis as to remaining positive and going, it's all going to change. Like, it's all going to be fine. Life's going to get better. The job that I need is going to come in. The finances that I need are going to come in. The relationship that I want is going to come in. And then there's some days where you're like, fuck, I'm really tired.
You've run out of fuel.
I've run out of fuel. And there's days where you just want to spend the entire day in bed. I feed a lot on other people's energy. I feed a lot on the people around me. But then I also uplift a lot of people on a daily basis. And I have to try and remember the uplift that I give other people, I need to also give to myself.
Do you not find that the uplift you give to other people also is reciprocated in a way, in like a mirror kind of effect, you know? Other people's good mood that you've now given them gives you a good mood too.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really nice way of actually thinking about it. I've never thought of that kind of mirror effect. And I really, I love that analogy. Yeah, completely.
Are you quite selective with the people you keep around you?
I am now. Yeah, I am now.
Did you learn a lesson to therefore be now and not before?
I try and keep people around me that are really positive. I try and keep people around me that are really positive. I try and keep people around me that have a similar outlook. I'm very spiritual. I believe a lot in the universe, whether it's the universe, whether it's God, whether it's my spirit team.
I guess you could think of it all as the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've got enough people in my spirit team to create an army.
Do you think you get an anchor from your spirituality?
Yeah, I think so. I ask for signs, and I love a medium. I love having a reading, Louis. And maybe I sometimes hang on to those things a little bit more than I should do. But like I say, like I try and wake up each day and go, I'm blessed. Everything's relative. Like people will say to me, my God, you've been through so much and you're so strong. And it's not about strength, but every situation is relative to somebody else's, you know, like everybody has their own battles that they're going through, and it isn't a competition. You know, I'm like, when my mum died, that kind of feeling of people feeling sorry for you, I'm like, I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I need people to be on my wavelength. You know, the maddest thing, the funniest thing is when my mum died, people would go, was she depressed? Even your face now, right? My response is, well, she wasn't fucking happy, was she? She's not like jumping for joy. But equally, I think a lot of people that are in the position that my mum was in. 10 days before my mum died, she was at like a school reunion. She looked beautiful. My mum would walk into a room and light it up. You know, she was a fuller woman, blonde hair, like sparkly glasses. She would light a room up. So when people go, was she depressed? I'm like,
No.
she wasn't happy, was she?
Do you think what you were searching for people is like you said about wavelength? You want people to kind of empathize in a way that's not just like, I feel sorry for you, but I get you.
Yeah, but will people ever get? People don't always get people, do they? They
No.
don't always understand.
But as you said, everyone's got their own unique problems.
100%.
Do you think there's a
Yeah,
problem in the world today of kind of having this need to show only our best selves to people?
for sure. And I think
And
social media has a big part to play in that, you know,
yeah, and people don't show their problems that they're quietly dealing with. So people
for
who
sure.
have their own problems feel like they're so alone with it. Did you find that at all with your problems? You seem quite open to share, things you've been through.
I am open for sure. I'm open and I think with the vaccine stuff, it was a real outlet for me.
Mm.
Like social media was a real outlet for me when it came to all my vaccine stuff, and it probably did as well for my mum. Like it was weird. I went from like talking about the grief of losing my legs and how my life had changed in that perspective to then my life changing all over again. And I built this community on Instagram, and Instagram, my account got shut down whilst talking about the vaccine for inaccurate and inauthentic content, which is a whole other story. But I'd kind of built this community, and by no means when I was sharing was I looking for sympathy. It was really just an outlet, and it was an outlet to, I guess, people that I didn't know, but also the people that were around me. You don't want to feel like a burden.
Mm.
You don't want to feel like you're just singing from the same hymn sheet again. Oh God, George is going on again about a dead mother. Oh God, here she goes again. And my friends probably don't think that by any means, but it's my perception of how I might come across or appear. But now, and I think particularly since breaking up with my ex, I'm a whole lot more reserved about what I share and what I put out there. And everyone's always interested in other people's lives, you know? And
That's a side effect of social media.
I don't need people to be interested in mine. You can see what I want you to see.
Yeah.
When I'm having a shit day, my close friends on Instagram will know I'm having a shit day.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to be. I think
Strangers don't need to know I'm having a shit day.
yeah. I think
But
you're
again,
right.
that's a mask,
Mm.
right?
We spoke. You were right. Social media is the biggest cause of this. I want to give it a term. I think I've heard a term for it, but I can't recall it. That this only showing our best selves and not showing our selves when we're not at our best or even at our worst
Yeah.
creates this, false perception of others, not just of one person, but of themselves. They think they're the only person struggling with a certain problem. Do you think you help people around you by being open about the things that you've dealt with? Not strangers, but your close friends.
I've only got one close friend that's been through anything remotely similar. Weirdly, her mum died almost, and I hope she won't mind me talking about it. But her mum died almost exactly a year before my mum. So she lost her mum in September 2021. Is it September 21?
Yeah.
I'm sure it was September 21. And at the time, I remember feeling like a really shit friend because I was struggling with how to process how I could help her in her loss, whilst also dealing with all my medical shit that I had going on. So do I help my friends? Was that the question, wasn't it? I just think we're all really different. Like I've got such a dark sense of humour, and my friend that lost her mum and her mum fell down the stairs. You know, it was a complete freak accident. And again, she's still living in the same house and goes through the trauma of walking down those stairs every day and up them every day. And that upsets me for her. And it upsets me that we don't have our mums around because we were so close, both of us, to our mums.
Do you think you provide that? You fill that gap for each other?
I think we provide an understanding to each other of how we're feeling, particularly around birthdays, Christmas.
So that relatability is what keeps you close as friends.
For sure, I think we have more than that. We have more than that. You know, she's been through some stuff, and I will always be there for her. No matter what, and I will do whatever I can. And I think that's a similar trait that we both have, is that no matter what each of us are going through, we're always there for each other, but also other people. And maybe that's a coping mechanism, in a sense of we can park our stuff and we can help other people.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Tell me a bit about your recovery. Like, where are you at now with the?
So I'm not 100%. I'm much better than I was back in 2021. I'm much better than I was when I was in 2022. I'm still under neurology. My face collapses, and it can, people go, do you know when it's going to happen? And I'm like, no. Even now I get like these twinges that happen in my hand. And it's just nerves. Like my nervous system has just been completely shot. I was at dinner on Saturday last week, and I was like, sorry guys, my face is going to go. And the problem is when I'm around people that have never seen it before, they're like, fuck, she's having a stroke. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, don't do anything. Just chill. We're all good. And I have to sit there and I literally have to massage my face back to normality. And it can last anything from like 30 seconds to 15, 20 minutes. And I get like a full spasm here in my neck. So that all goes tense. This side of my neck looks completely normal. And then my face will all start to drop.
You're quite a physically active person.
I'm super active. I'm in the gym every day. Yeah.
You said you got yoga today? Was it yoga?
Spinning.
Spin class.
Yeah.
Spin class today. Do you find this helps you retrain your body, get back into the rhythm you used to be? And were you physically active like you are now before?
Massively. Yeah, massively. Like I've been roller skating since I was 8 years old. I used to compete highboard diving. I'm a super active person. So when I lost that, you know, I'd go like walking every day. I've got 2 dogs, and that was one of the things that broke my heart, was not being able to walk my dogs. And I remember my ex and I taking our dogs out for a walk, and I'm there on a Zimmer frame, and I was like, I can't walk. And I literally sat on a log whilst he walked the dogs around the field because I couldn't do it.
How do you anchor yourself so well in the positive mindset when you said you were physically active before all this happened and you've lost use of your legs, mainly your legs, and you're thinking, is this ever going to fix itself? You have no idea. No one's giving you any news. You feel lost. Do you think that your mindset, if you didn't have your mindset, your positive glass half full mindset, you'd be where you are today?
No.
You think you've come a really long way?
Yeah. When I kind of piece it all together, I do think like, fuck, like how I thrive on being around people and I thrive on work. And like for me right now, not working is just killing me.
I think that sense of meaning is so important.
For sure. Yeah. And right now I don't have a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
My purpose is to my dogs at the moment. But yeah, in terms of work, like I thrive on being busy. I thrive on being busy and I thrive on being active. So then when I was told when I was in hospital that I'm fixated on social media, it wasn't because I was sat there, you know, trying to be a fucking influencer. I was trying to find out what the fuck was wrong with me, because I felt like no one around me was trying to find out what was wrong with me. And I remember being in the hospital and a nurse slipped up in the hospital and said, oh yeah, we had a girl in here 2 weeks ago. She's just been discharged. She was here for 2 weeks. She's just been discharged with identical symptoms to yours, and she's at the neuro rehab unit in Amersham. I was like, oh right, but you're all swanning around as if like, oh, this is all in my head. Cool.
Do you think they learn a lot after your case? And
I think they did overall. I think there's still a huge amount of research being done.
There's loads coming out.
There's loads coming out, and I think eventually there will be recourse for what myself and an abundance of other people across the UK have been through. America, I can't speak on behalf of, but what I do know is I've made incredible friends as a result of it. I've got 2 friends in America that I'm hoping to see in December. I've got a gorgeous friend in Manchester who unfortunately is still suffering in a really bad way as a result of the vaccine. So I've made like genuine friend. I've got one of my close friends is in Australia who I've met throughout this whole thing. And in fact, I was at dinner with her. She was over from Australia, and I was at dinner with her the weekend before my mum died. I was out for dinner with her, I think, on the Friday or the Saturday. My mum died on the Monday. So you kind of remember like nuggets like that as well, right? Throughout. Yeah, I'm really lucky, like with the connections and the people around me as a result of that. And again, that's another positive. It's another silver lining. I wouldn't have met these people. They wouldn't be part of my life, and they wouldn't be somebody that I can talk to about our symptoms and about how we feel and what we're going through. But yeah, do I think there'll be some recourse from all of this? Absolutely. I mean, we see all these documentaries on Netflix over, you know, Aussie, what is it, that painkiller, and
there's loads of stuff coming out. There was the oxytocin.
That's it, oxytocin. You know, there's all these
Is it
things.
oxytocin or is it
No, oxytocin is a happy drug.
That's the happy. Oxybenzone.
Something they call it oxy, don't they?
Oxycontin.
There we go. Oxy, yeah.
Yeah. That was a really interesting watch.
It's like incredible.
It's important that this sort of stuff comes out.
Yeah. And I think there will be something like it on the vaccine in however many years to come. There's a vaccine damage payment scheme. COVID is listed on that vaccine damage payment scheme, but the vaccine damage payment scheme is based on industrial injury. So unless you lose a limb or you die, you have to justify 60% disability. And even then you have to prove.
It's a pretty high bar.
It's just, but how do you quantify 60% disability? Yeah. Like what quantifies that?
You can't.
What quantifies it?
60% of your body, maybe.
But is that mind? Is it mental? Is it, is it physical?
You can't quantify that.
And the maximum payout is £120,000.
Which doesn't anywhere near cost no. For anyone going through, the problems, it's just again and again and again and again, and they feel like life just keeps beating them down, and every time they try to stand back up, their legs go or something else happens.
Their mind, yeah,
anything.
Yeah.
What would you say to a person if they started to experience something like this?
You've just got to take each day as it comes. You literally have to take each day as it comes. You might wake up and you might think, do you know what? I'm going to have a really great day. You might wake up one day and go, fuck, I don't really want to do today. But somehow you do it. And it's not about being strong. The amount of people that will say to you when you've been through a vaccine injury, a suicide, a breakup of a 7-year relationship, a grandparent dying, all those things, you
take each day as it comes.
Yeah, you have to literally just take each day as it comes.
Do you think if you look too far ahead, you
can set yourself up for failure? Yeah. I think. I'm the most impatient person in the world. Like, I want everything yesterday. I'm like, where's my knight in shining armor? Where's this? Where's that? And it's just about being patient. And be patient with yourself, I think. And I don't think we as individuals, we give ourselves enough patience, or we give ourselves enough credit as well in having a bad day. Like, that was what I was going to say, was when people say, oh, you're such a strong person after you've been through X, Y, and Z. And it's not a case of being strong. It's a case of going, actually, it's a case of sinking or swimming, and you either choose one or the other. And I remember after my mum died, my boss said to me, take some time out, like, don't worry about work. And I went, no, 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 no. I went, if I'm not working, I'm going to sink. I'm going to 100% sink. And that is not an option for me. I need to keep swimming. I don't know what my end destination is whilst I'm swimming, but I know that I need to keep swimming. And my friend, her sister-in-law, after my mum died, her sister-in-law said to her, oh, how's Georgia doing? They all think you're just going to be sat in a corner, rocking, not coping with life. Me, I'm like renovating my house. I can't sit still. Cannot sit still.
So the finding something to do is also
Yeah,
something
for sure.
Yeah.
Find something that mentally, like, gets you. And whether that's going to the gym, whether that's doing mindfulness and go, like, I did a lot of meditation, I did a lot of like sound bath, I did a lot of like healing. The gym is now like my therapy in a way, and talking. I'm a talker.
Something that challenges, that stimulates your mind, that challenges you, that keeps you something to focus on, and some sort of meaning that pulls you through it. How would you craft, if you had one sentence to craft, and this one sentence defines what got you through all of it, what would you say that sentence is? No rush.
God, no rush. Can I come back to you on that? One sentence that got me through everything.
Yeah, if you could say one sentence that kind of
Encapsulates.
remained untouched while everything else is chaotic and being blown about everywhere. One sentence that just stays the same, that stayed still, that was kind of your backbone through it all.
I want to say, like, counting your blessings, like counting the positive stuff that is around you.
Gratitude.
Yeah, because whilst you've got storm after storm after storm, and if you're on social media, your algorithms will pick up what you're talking about and what you're feeding yourself. And if you can pick up quotes that are, after the rain, the flowers bloom, you might not believe it at the time, but you're right. We keep circling back to gratitude.